Welcome. I'm so glad that you found this video and my website. I'm Dr. Amy Mayer, and I'm an occupational therapist, and I've been practicing the Barnes myofascial approach for 30 years now. I'm also an expert in ergonomics, posture and body alignment, and movement to keep the fascia healthy. So I'd like to take a little bit of time, whether you are a practitioner, healthcare practitioner, wellness practitioner looking for more information, or whether you are someone who's having pain and looking for information on fascia and myofascial release, take the time to watch this video. You will learn a lot about fascia and some additional resources that you can get out there and find. So first, what is fascia? Fascia is really two things. When we think of fascia, fascia is sometimes referred to as the extracellular matrix. So we have our trillions of cells in our body. The fascia is what the cells cling to. And the fascia is made out of, one, a collagenous web. And that web of collagen inside our body is continuous from head to toe, front to back, side to side. And that web has some elastin in it. So the elastin makes it stretchy, and there's more elastin in some parts and less elastin in others, because we need more stretchiness some places and we need more toughness in other places. So the other part of the fascia, or the extracellular matrix, is the ground substance, and that's the free water in our body. And that ground substance can be very thick in some places, and it can be very thin in other places where we need more smooth movement. So fascia is really two things. So I want to share a lot of the research about fascia. And if you're not a research person, I'll keep it pretty simple. So one of the really amazing pieces of research that's come out over the last decade on fascia is that it actually contains 6 to 10 times more nerves than the muscular system. It's got more nerves than our visual system, our skin. So we get a lot of information to our brain from our fascial system. And when you think about it, the brain is 6 to 10 times more interested in what's happening in your fascia than it is in your muscles. That's pretty amazing. So your fascial system is actually a body system, just like your circulatory system or your nervous system or your muscular system. It's a body system. And therapists, I can tell you that, or healthcare practitioners, I can tell you that you're going to need to know about this. They will be learning about this in the textbooks very soon. So what's interesting about the fascial system, though, is it is being referred to now as the environment of the body, because all the other systems are inside and surrounded by the fascial system. And that's pretty amazing. So that is why I think, and some of our fascia researchers and thinkers, that the fascia can be a culprit in a lot of problems, because our fascia is designed to protect us, one of its many functions. And if that fascia that surrounds and supports everything has all these other nerves and arteries, everything running through it, surrounds our organs, if it is tight, it's putting pressure on those organs and other structures in the body. So the point of myofascial work is to open that structure, the fascia, back up and create more space for all those other systems to function. So when I'm talking about body systems, if you're not someone that knows a lot about anatomy, then we're thinking about the muscular system, the skeletal system. The fascia can literally pull the skeletal system out of alignment, which can cause a whole other set of problems. The nervous system, the lymphatic system, that system that gets all the junk out of our bodies. The respiratory system, if you feel like you can't take a deep breath, that could be a problem in the fascia. Digestive system, the reproductive system, and our immune system. So I'm going to read to you a few things about what the fascia says about what the research says about what the fascia does. So the fascia provides the structural support and tension that holds our body upright against gravity. It's not the muscles, it's not the bones, it is the fascia. Our fascia knows how to have that just right tension, especially when we're in good posture, to keep us up against gravity. Provides the framework of the body, as I mentioned. The shifting tension in our fascia actually informs our body of where we are in space, and that's called proprioception. That's a body sense, like vision or hearing is a body sense. Proprioception is, I know where my arms are even though I can't see them. I know where my hands are, I know what I'm doing. I can flip that light switch without light on because I know where my body is in space. So all those 6 to 10 times more nerves embedded within the fascia, and the shifting tension puts different pressures on those nerves, and that informs our brain of where we are in space. And just a really cool side note is there's a little structure that goes across the front of our ankles called a retinaculum. That is one of the most highly innervated structures in the human body because that informs the position of our ankle, which helps us keep our balance, which is very important in a human person. All right, so prolonged pressure, tension, and inflammation in the fascia causes pain. Helen Langevin, she is a Harvard researcher who is now the director of the integrative branch of the National Institute of Health. She has said in her research and her literature, and she's got some pretty fascinating research out there, that most of the pain that we're experiencing in our culture is myofascial pain. The fascia actually, and all the nerves embedded within it, actually contribute to our sense of interoception, and that might be a new word for some people. Interoception is the body sense, of what's happening inside our body. So senses like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, or I'm hungry, or my heart is beating really fast. I can feel all those things in my body. But it's also things like, I have butterflies in my stomach. I feel nervous or anxious. My chest feels tight because I'm scared or sad. My throat feels tight because I don't want to say what I have to say. So those body senses that are connected with emotion, and there's a lot of trend towards trying to address emotional issues through the body now that we know how important the fascia is and all the nerves embedded in it and how intricately those are connected with emotion. Our fascia is a protective mechanism. So it absorbs shock. It protects us when we have injuries, and I'll talk about that here in just a moment. It has elastic properties. So in the front of our hips, for example, when we take a long step and that back leg swings through, the longer the step we take, the more that we store energy in the fascia and the less muscular effort we have to use to pull that leg through. So keeping the fascia loose and stretchy helps us operate more efficiently and save energy. This is interesting as well. Up to 40% of our muscular force is actually transferred into the surrounding fascia to help to pull on the skeletal system in order to move our body in a very smooth way. So, causing problems and restrictions. That's what a lot of people are interested in. How can we deal with the restrictions that might be causing pain or mobility issues in our body? Well, first of all, why do they happen? So I mentioned that fascia is a protective mechanism. So we can develop tension and restriction in our fascia for a lot of different reasons. And I think a huge one in our culture is lack of movement, of course. Our fascia needs to be moving regularly to maintain its health, but if lack of movement, we're going to get sticky in our fascia for a lot of different reasons, and I could go down a tangent, but I want to keep this video fairly short. So trauma is the reason that our fascia gets tight. And trauma can be things like a fall. It can be a motor vehicle accident. It can be an incision from a surgery. It can be other kinds of wounds to the body. So things that happen quick, immediate kinds of trauma. a blow to the body. But we can also have what I refer to as slow trauma to the body. And slow trauma to the body is when we are continually practicing poor posture over time. And a good example that we see a lot in our culture is the head that should be stacked over the spine is often forward when we're using our devices or on computers or doing other tasks, and we just get in the habit of keeping it there. Rounding the shoulders, tucking the pelvis. When we use our body in a way that it's not designed to, our bodies are very intelligent, and the fascia will literally reshape itself to help support those postures that you're choosing over time. And when the head is forward, for example, you can get lots of very thick, dense fascia in the upper back and neck. And that then keeps the muscles in the back in an elongated position, and everything in front gets shortened. And then that fascia that should be nice and thin, or not thin, but stretchy and hydrated, is now dense and thick and tight. So imagine all the other body systems that need to run through that space. It's going to end up causing pain and actually a lot of other problems as well, even things like balance when our heads get stuck forward. So those can cause layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of tension in the fascia and pressure on other body systems, causing, we're going to find out in the next decade or two, that the fascia is likely responsible for a whole lot of problems in the body, not just pain. So what can you do? Here's what I suggest to my clients. What I do with my clients is it's really a multifaceted approach. You can come in, I can work on you, do my thing, but if you go out into the world with the exact same posture and habits, then all that tension is just going to come right back into the body, and you'll end up with the same problems. So my goal is to teach my clients how to manage themselves. So the first thing you need to do is get rid of those restrictions. Get out as many of the restrictions as you can in your fascial system, open it up, make it stretchy and hydrated again. And that can be done through body work. So the body work can be done by a practitioner that can help you and do it to you. And sometimes it takes that, depending on the depth and where the restrictions are. But you can also work a lot of those restrictions out yourself by learning how to use myofascial principles to treat your own body. I've been teaching a workshop about that for 4+ years now, and you can do this without ever seeing me as a client, and it can help you a lot. So some form of body work or a combination of self-care and working with a practitioner. So I want my people to be independent. There's plenty of work to be done, and I would really love to help as many people as possible. So body work, working out the restrictions, is first. The next is you've got to learn what good posture really is, and it is so much more than just standing up straight. I have a whole other course on that you can check out, but good posture is critical. We do not address it enough in our healthcare system, but we are learning how critical it is to be in good posture if you want to be an athlete, if you want to exercise without getting injured. Another tangent. Okay, so learning to move better. So let me give you an example. So the research is really moving towards, and the fascial research really points toward things like yoga, because yoga gives you big open movements, but I think it's more than that. But let me give you the example is a lot of people walk, and walking is great for your health. But if your arms are swinging and your legs are moving, you're not getting a full big range of motion. You're getting a very limited range of motion. And I think the movement also needs to include a lot of spiraling type of movements, because life is not linear. Life is very spiraling and a lot of rotation. So we need to incorporate those things into our movement practices. Learning how to manage stress. Stress puts a lot of tension in our bodies, and when we're continually stressed, then our shoulders come up and our collarbones get angled when they should be nice and level to the floor, and puts that tension in and puts pressure on all those systems that our fascia surrounds. Learning how to hydrate better and eat better. Hydration. We are not a push system, so we can drink and drink and drink water, but we're not fully hydrating our body unless we move. We are a pull system. We need to squeeze out the tissues like a sponge in order to really pull that hydration in. So doing a combination of those things, figuring out what the right dosage is for you is what I do a lot with my clients. And then you can manage and really have a very healthy body long into adulthood and older adulthood. Our fascia gets stiff because we don't move and we don't do all those things that I just talked about. So if you are interested in the references for this, if you go to the store on my website, then you can download a list of all kinds of different fascia-focused references at no cost to you. If you are interested in learning more, I have lots of courses online. Come to a workshop. That is probably one of the best ways for the public and therapists or healthcare practitioners to get started learning more about fascia. You can always contact me too. I'm very open to being contacted. Email is a really great way, and you can find that on my website too. So I hope this was helpful to you all. Thank you so very much, and get out there and move better.